All right, welcome back to another episode. Kingz Don't Die, fired up as usual. And Manny, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing good. Running around, all kinds of graduation stuff. If you guys are out there in Kingz Don't Die land getting ready to graduate, congrats to all the 2025 grads. We love you guys. Keep doing it.
Yeah, definitely congratulations. And 'tis the season. And, speaking of that, right, because a lot of people are going to be graduating high school, college, things like that. One of the things that is not talked about a lot in schools is something that, we focus heavily on called personal development. And by the way, just in your leadership journey and being a family man and faith man of faith, right? How important has it for you to understand personal development and learning deeper things about yourself?
That's crucial. It's super important. I mean, there's so much that you have to pick up and you have to learn. Like, it's not even a choice. You have to do it. And a lot of times I would see guys at work, they would come in and do their 9 to 5, and then, after that they go home and, TGIF and all those things, meat on the grill, beers all around, everything. Let's go to the bar, hang out. And those guys you would see, like, those guys weren't even happy at work. Like, they would be pissed off, they would be upset, and they go home and have that same cycle, repeat. But for me, I never wanted that cycle of stuff. So I was always trying to find a way to better myself. And I picked, a couple different role models growing up. Lucky for me, I was blessed. I have a really good example of a father. He did a lot of good stuff for me when I was a kid, and I just wanted to be like him growing up. So I would model him. My grandfathers were straight up dudes. They had enough courage to pack up their families early on in life and move from Texas all the way to California. And that's, some of us can't move down the block, but these guys move halfway across the United States, following their example and telling myself, like, if this is my blood, if this is where I come from, then why can't I do it? Of course I could do it. So just thinking about the mindset, the mentality of these men and how they were, and then ultimately following the ultimate father, Jesus Christ, and his teachings and the things that people say about him, but modeling my own personal development plan on those guys, it kind of helped shape me who I am right now. And it's not really something that people talk about a lot, is the stuff that happens behind the scenes that turns boys into men. And that's kind of what you got to do. You got to figure out, what are the holes in my boat, and who can I study to help me figure out, the tough stuff.
I think it's such a topic that gets thrown around a lot. It's kind of like what you said last week or a couple weeks ago about the leadership. Leadership is like the cool thing, and and we see it now. Like personal development is like, because people are more aware of it, they throw it around like it's nothing. But in reality, it's a lot of work. Like, you really got to be committed as a grown adult to personally develop yourself in whatever area you're trying to improve on.
Yeah, a lot of people, they have, it's the flavor of the month, right? I mean, leadership, all these things that people throw out there. And then personal development is kind of wrapped up in between. Living my best life. I want to be the best version of me and all these fun things that everybody says. But do you really? Like, are you really doing the stuff? Because you can tell. You can tell when someone's on their A game. You can tell when somebody's leveling up. You can tell. How do I know? Because people, they were able to tell when I was doing it. Like, oh, Manny's not the same no more. Manny's this, Manny's that, or whatever. And it was just because I wanted a different thing out of, my journey. So, it's not something that's easy, but it's easy to talk about. People will talk about it and they'll say, oh yeah, I'm doing this and I'm stepping up and I'm whatever. But the proof is in the pudding, right? If you're still doing the same stuff that you're trying to change 30, 60, 90 days from now, and you don't have like a set game plan, if you're not writing stuff down and tracking it, I don't think it's going to work, to be honest. I mean, it's tough, but you have to be serious and you have to have a schedule. You have to be committed, and you got to kind of know what you want, right? You can't just say, I'm going to develop and try to figure it out. Like, you got to kind of have a plan. You have to write it down. You have to figure it out. And and attack it aggressively.
Why do you think most people don't follow through with it?
It's easy not to.
It's so true, man. It's so true. Like I remember Matt, he said it one time. He said it's a lot easier to do the lazy things. And I thought, what the heck does that make sense? It really is harder to do the harder things. And I think a lot of people, whether you're learning about faith, like when I started my faith journey, I didn't know what character went where. I didn't know where Jesus lined up with Moses. I didn't know, you know what I mean? I was lost in the sauce with all that. But then I knew I wanted to study. I knew it was interesting. I knew um, it was part of my calling, and it does take discipline. And I think most people can't weather the storm on how hard it is and to continuously do it when you're not seeing results.
Yeah, it's not easy, and I mean, there's a reason why the mentality and the things like the way there's a reason why things are how they are. Everybody wakes up, everybody goes to work, everybody does the normal 9 to 5, and if you're the guy in the crowd who's talking about being better, leveling up, doing what you're supposed to do, you're the weirdo. Like they're like, oh, he's different or he's whatever. Oh my god, this guy he thinks he's better than me. But that's not it. Like we look at people that want to develop themselves and get better as if they think they're better than you. So most people don't want to deal with that. They'll do stuff behind closed doors, but when it comes to opening their mouth in public and really kind of trying to help people, they shy away from it because they're afraid what everybody else is going to think. And that's the tough part. Being able to change and consistently level up day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, and make those deposits into yourself about the personal development stuff, like you're going to change. You're going to outgrow your circle, but that's okay, right? The people that are meant to be there with you. It's like a quote. I think somebody put a quote out the other day on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it was, is the people that start the race with you aren't meant to finish it with you, and that's okay. And that's part of the personal development stuff is understanding that as I grow, I need to grow my circle. And if some people don't fit in it anymore, it is what it is. Like, what are you chasing? Do you want it that bad? Or are you just kind of flavor of the month guy? Oh, leadership is great and personal development is great, but I really don't want to do none of it, right? It's not easy. It's tough. And you got to make those tough calls. So, what do you think in terms of a schedule? Like, how would you, because I've seen you change a lot over the past couple years. And I know you have a way of doing things. What's the secret sauce here? Like, what are you doing that's kind of helping you get from where you were to where you are now, and then like where you want to go?
I think I play this game of life like I play it scared, where it's like I don't want to miss moments. Like I don't want to miss the moment. I don't want to fail. You know me, I'm a sore loser. Like I hate losing, right? So, right, like, and I don't mind watching. Obviously, like I don't mind watching my friends win. You know me, I'll congratulate. I'll send messages. It's just the lost feeling, but just in all areas of my life now. It's just like I think I really identified why, and it's because I play. I'm scared to miss the moments. I'm scared not to reach like my full potential. Like I have that in the back of my head like all the time. If I go today, did I reach my full potential? And the answer is heck no. There's so much more room. And I'm always trying to find what is next for me to grow to. So
That's crazy. That's good. I kind of feel the
yeah.
same way, and I'm kind of stuck in a lot of things sometimes, and I feel like man, like I should have been done with that already. Like what's going on? So sometimes too, I'll reflect. I'll sit on the edge of my bed, or some of us we stand in the shower and we think, but I'm like, dude, where am I at? Where do I need to go? And what do I got to do to get there? So that's that's kind of why for me, and we talked about this on the last call we had, was GFI and the 5 F's, right? Personal development requires you to come up with some type of a game plan, some type of hey, how am I going to do this, right? And to get that complete circle, that whole big picture of how can I level up my entire life and not just one little section of it, that's where the 5 F's come into play: faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun, right? Find a way to level up in those 5 areas, and it's game over.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, you know?
Right. And I think a lot of people also they have the fear factor of what is everybody else going to think about me?
Yeah.
You know, we've never lived life like this, or nobody's ran a business, or our whole family is sick, or whatever the scenario is, whatever you're not accustomed to, but yet you want to go chase something new. I think a lot of people really they care more about what man thinks about them than what their greatest potential could be.
Yeah, it's funny you said that. I was talking to one of my coworkers last week. We were going to working on a project. We're going to go to pick up some stuff at the store, and I said, "I'm gonna be honest with you. We were talking about kind of just personal development, kind of sort of, right?" But I said, "I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a pretty religious guy." I said, I don't really think about what people say about me. I really don't." I said, because once upon a time, my creator held me in his hands and he blew his life into me. And he looked at me and he said, "This is my most perfect creation right here." Right. So for me, I don't really look for the acceptance from people because I have a God's approval already. So it doesn't bother me what people say about me. And it kind of always been that way, which is a good thing. But definitely not easy because, you know, we're human and, you know, does it work 100%? No. Sometimes I'm like, you know, but you got to kind of rewind yourself a little bit and say, hey, doesn't matter what they think. I'm moving in his path. I'm going my way. And I know it's good because, you know, he laid it out before I got here. So crazy, but yeah, that's me.
And I know I struggled with that too, especially when you do so much for people or you think you're doing the right thing all the time for people and all of a sudden, the phone calls stop and the help stops and then, the betrayal starts and and then you start thinking, man, what did I do wrong? Right? And then it's almost like, do you want to tally it up one more time? Are you willing to do that again? Right. And I think for the right people, it's I'm gonna take this loss and I'm gonna learn my lesson, I'm gonna grow from it, and I'm gonna move forward. Versus it didn't work. I don't know if I could ever recover from this pain. I don't know if I ever want to do that again. So now let me go buckle down and almost like live in a cave type deal.
Yeah, that's that commitment. Are you really committed to the cause? Or is it the flavor of the month, right? That's what we were talking about earlier. The ones who are serious about doing things, those are the ones that are always going to learn from the lesson, right? I took a loss. I got hurt, maybe a couple bruises. Maybe some people pointed and laughed at me, hurt my feelings. But am I really committed to staying in this for the long run? Am I committed to the change? Am I committed to the better me? Because if not, then they're going to be the ones who, like you said, yeah, I don't want to do this no more. I'm going to go back home. It's easier to fit in with the crowd because they're accepting me, who I am, and I just don't want to disappoint them anymore. So it's not easy, not an easy way. But what would you think? What would you say were a couple of things that maybe we can give to the audience right now? Some things that they can use, maybe some books they can read and some kind of ideas on how they can start their own journey when it comes to personal development. Like, what's a good example? What can they do?
Yeah. I think the first thing is, and you kind of talked about it, but I think the first thing is you got to really understand like what you really, really want, and understand kind of like what season of your life are you in? Are you in a faithful season with God? Are you in a I need to lose weight season? I need to make more money season, right? Like maybe all the above season. Like I want to be a better dad, a better husband, so you got to kind of figure out what you want. Right, that's number one. Let's just break it down nice and easy, right? And everybody uses weight, so we'll just use weight because that's like the you know easiest one to tend to talk about, right? So, all right, let's say you're in a season where you're like, all right, I need to drop 30 pounds. Like I knew I'm in a season right now where like I'm doing a cut, and it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, right? Like 1,800 calories a day, fasting for 17 hours, 2 to 2.5 meals only. And it's like, oh my God, my mind is going crazy. So the first thing I knew I had to do was get an accountability partner. Right. So I called Aaron. Right. I was like, bro, I'm doing this. Let's go. So that was the first thing that I had to do. Right. Get an accountability partner, put my butt on I said, I'm going to do something and I'm going to freaking do it. And now everybody on the podcast knows I'm doing a cut right now. So, and then no sweets, no sugars, no, like none of that. Like the hardest thing for me was to go through a Friday, Saturday, Sunday weekend without any, like no cheat meals, right? No ice cream, no pizza. Like that was kind of crazy, right? But we dialed it in now. We're good. So I would say the first thing is always to figure out what you want, all right, and then understand how can you grow. And you're going to have to write down some things that no longer serve you. You're going to have to write down some associations that are either going to add value to your life, right, to those next wave of goals, or they're going to take you out of those situations, right? Like I know for a fact if I was around certain people during this cut, right, there would be alcohol involved, there would be bad associations involved, there would be, so I am not around certain people because I know that's going to influence me, right, to make a dumb stupid decision, right, that's going to hurt what I'm trying to accomplish right now, right? Some of the best books that you can read is 177 Mental Toughness by the World Class by Steve Siebel. He talks about mental toughness because anytime you're trying to do something, it's going to be a mental challenge. I woke up the other morning, I was hungry, my head was pounding. I knew, and I was like, don't eat, don't eat. I'm good. I don't need to eat food right now because that's going to be the hardest thing. Like, can you get through when the pain is happening? Can you still muster enough strength to get through when the pain is happening? I know for a fact 177 Mental Toughness. I know for a fact John Maxwell has a really great podcast called the Leadership Podcast that has helped a lot. Obviously being close spiritually every single morning for an hour. I have my scripture study, my prayer time, where I'm doing my homework that we get from our men's group. That has helped tremendous. Understanding who I am and the way I want to operate. How to win friends and influence people. That's another great book that people can read or listen to on the audio. One of the best books that you could read or listen to is called The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Right? It just talks about, different ways that you can operate and move around people with people. And, just understanding that, people are a little squirrely every now and then, but yeah, those are some things that definitely that can help you out in your journey. And journal a lot too. Like write out your journal, write out your journey. Like you'd be surprised when you look back 6 months from now, going, man, how much have I grown?
Yeah, I like that journal part because a lot of the, personal development at the end of the day is you versus you, right? It's like you telling yourself, we're not doing that no more, we're doing this. So if you journal it and you write it down, and if you're ever curious, like, man, is this really working? The proof is in the pudding right there. Go back and read your notes, read kind of how you thought before and kind of where you are now. So I think that's really important. A lot of us don't do it, but if you're really serious, it's a good part of the development process.
Yeah. What about you, man? Like, like you're a dad, you're a husband, you've been on a journey, with your wife since like we were in high school, right? And you guys have obviously, you guys have grown and you guys, have become a great pillar of an example in a marriage for being, 20 plus years. Like, how did you do it? Like, because you've obviously had to grow, like what was your thought process on everything?
Just basically say yes and keep her happy. That's kind of how it works. Yes, ma'am. It's all yours. Whatever you want, I'll do it. No, it's a lot. 20 years of anything of the same is going
Be,
to
be
require.
careful what you say right now.
We can edit this if we need to, right? No, but again, going back to figuring out what you want, right? And for me, it was long term. It was long term. It was being here, and it was the house, the family, the kids, the growth, the kids moving on and being prosperous, and then it was a little bit of everything. So kind of figuring out what that was then, and then reverse engineering it and trying to grow into it since the beginning, right? Nothing was easy. Like I said before, a lot of reflection. Hey, that conversation didn't really go the way I thought it was going to go. So what can I say better next time? Or what kind of flowers do I need to buy tomorrow? Or that type of stuff, right? But it's figuring out who you are kind of by initially finding out where you want to go and then carving that path, really committed to carving the path and staying on it. It's not easy. Like I said before, you're going to lose some people. And with me, I would rather lose them than lose the ones that I'm with, right? There's four people, the four little kids and a woman that I would much rather gain and be with if I had to lose everybody else. And that was the truth. That was the end of it. Sorry, guys. I love you, but, moving that way is it is what it is. And then number two, it's awesome when the person you're with is also making those changes and you guys are growing together, you're moving together, things are moving forward together. It's like you look at it and you're like, it's working, like things are getting, you know what I mean? So it's, you see those little changes in each other and you know that they're both for the greater good. And that's the reward. Like you see life's getting better, things are getting better, relationships are getting better, conversations are getting better, the way we handle the kids is getting better, the way we handle our finances is getting better. you know Everything just continues to move in the right directions. There's going to be setbacks, there's going to be problems and things that happen, but those are opportunities for you to learn, right? Why am I here? Why did he put me here? And what do I need to learn from this so that I don't happen again? And maybe later on I can teach something to my kids that, hey, I remember when that happened to me. Let's do this, this, and this, because this is what worked. So, you know, staying the course, finding that goal, the idea where you want to be, carving your way out. I mean, like I said before, like finding those people that you want to model. Some of us are fortunate enough to have examples. Some of us aren't. I've heard of people studying leaders, studying business leaders, studying entrepreneurs, studying religious models or whoever they need to study, but find someone who has the characteristics and the qualities that you would like to display, and then figure out what did it take for that person to get there, and then do that. So a lot easier than it sounds a lot easier than it is, but the proof is in the pudding, and it's rewarding when it all works out.
Yeah, and by the way, that's such a good point because we grew up with in a family where physical work was just like you don't question it, and I think that's where our work ethic comes from, right? Like you and I, we both know we can work 18-hour days. Like we can go to bed at 11, wake up at 4, and be like, all right, whew,
Yeah,
got a lot of sleep tonight, right? But I think the biggest challenge that you and I had to start learning at a real young leadership age was not necessarily the physical work, but more of the mental work, right? More of the strategic thinking, more of here's how entrepreneurs think, here's how wealthy people think, here's how business leaders lead, here's how influencers in their families, in the communities, here's how leaders actually think, and these are the habits that they do, and we're kind of like, whoa, where was this growing up? Like we didn't see that part,
Mm-mm.
and no fault to our dads or our family or our uncles because they didn't know neither. Right? But now that we do know, we can go take this information and go run with it now and go share it with people, go share it with our family and go, hey, look at, we already got the physical part down. Right? Now, what if we learn the mental part? What if we learn the strategic parts that we've kind of missed all these years?
Yeah, I think that's that's the key to breaking those generational curses, right? Is figuring out what they didn't know then. If you know it now and you don't apply it, like that's your fault. That's a big nut to crack. So having the responsibility of understanding those things now and really seeing how much they can have an impact on not only your life but the way your family goes moving forward, that's a huge responsibility. I mean, if we don't apply it, if we don't do those things and we knew that it would work, I don't want to be that guy, right? So you learn those things, you hear those things, and it's kind of like this. There's this whole other world out there, and we can do things and we can make things better, and all the stuff that we talked about is actually possible. it's crazy. Like it kind of lights that fire inside, and it makes you want to keep going, because if you were exposed to this earlier on in life, maybe things would have been a little bit different. So let me expose my kids to it. Let me expose the young kid to it. Let me find this young kid who's maybe just like I was, just looking for an opportunity, and kind of say, hey, hey man, let me show you what's going on over here, and eliminate 10 to 15 years of struggle just because we were able to get this information, and now we're sharing it with everybody to kind of bridge the gap and really start changing the way people think, the way they act, and ultimately the way they treat each other and their relationship with money. Like there's a lot, but having that knowledge now is a huge responsibility in itself to be able to share it with other people.
And it's so funny you said that stuff because, like, when I got in the financial service industry or when I got into entrepreneurship, it literally was like a whole new world. I was like, what do you mean we get paid, twice a week? What do you mean you go on a trip a month? What do you mean? Like, where was this at? But guess what? It was like, well, if you want this, right, you can have it, but not at the rate of who you are. See, these things come in a form of you becoming the greatest version of yourself, right? And most people don't want to take that journey.
Nope. It's like I said, it's the easy way. Nothing to knock it, but that's kind of how it is. People they're comfortable. They don't want to be the one who's the sore thumb sticking out and stuff like that. But it's true. Like there's a lot of things when you start studying people who are successful. You're like, man, that dude's nuts. Like, who in the hell gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning? That's what it takes. Markets open on our side of town over there early in the morning. So that's why they get up that early. There's so many different things. And if you really want the best of all of it, you got to study it. You got to figure it out, and you have to apply it. You're going to get the nose. You're going to get punched in the gut. You're going to get knocked down, but you got to get back up. You got to keep going. You got to stay the course. And, things will be better because of what you did today. It'll be better tomorrow if you can withstand it and you can push yourself to get there.
And that's the thing. Can you push yourself through when it's not going your way? When you feel like all HE double hockey sticks is breaking loose? Are you still excited day 400 that you were on day one?
Yep. You got to be your biggest cheerleader, man. Everybody's going to be kicking you and telling you you're stupid when you're on the ground, right? But you got to get up and you got to stay excited. You got to be fired up. You got to tell yourself, this is why I'm doing it. That's why I'm pushing forward. This is why it's worth it. Because at the end of the day, either they're going to be laughing at you or you're going to be laughing at them. I would much rather be the guy cashing those checks and saying, hey guys, I told you it was worth it. Because when I get there, I'm going to bring everybody with me, right? It's not a matter of I'm going to do this to better myself and whatever, but it's the commitment that I made to myself that when it does happen, when we do get there, we're going to turn around and bring as many people up as we can with us, because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. I think we've done a pretty good job of that, and throughout our careers, and we've been blessed, and that's why we started this podcast, right? Because I know we've been blessed, and we want to be a blessing to more people, and especially in the funny times that we're in right now with mental awareness, with self-doubt, suicides at a all-time high for men, split homes, things like that, so this is why we wanted to start this podcast, to bring value, to unite families, make people better, help give value. So, but guess what? In order to do that, you got to be willing to personally develop and become the best version of yourself, right? So, with that being said, right, Manny, all right, another good one, man.
Right on time.
Right on time. All right, awesome. Well, all right, everybody. Like, comment, save, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Kingz Don't Die. Joey Quevedo, Manny Nunez. We're out. We'll see you next week. Thank you for watching, listening. Do it all.